welcome to the show. With the start of season 2, we thought we'd do something a little bit special. So you have so kindly welcomed us into your homes every single day. So we thought we'd return the favor. Some of our experts that we love are bringing you inside their homes today, giving you a little bit of a sneak peek into their spaces. We'll see where they get creative, where they unwind, and where all the magic happens. And speaking of home, we are going to go extra old school homey in the kitchen today. We are making a classic meatloaf. I'm not mad about it. I'm very excited. I'll get into it in a minute, but since it is also our 2-for-1 week here in the kitchen, where we take one recipe and turn it into 2, we're also gonna make the ultimate meatloaf sandwiches. Does that sound? Okay, so I'm gonna get into first meatloaf in general. Meatloaf is one of those things that I feel like kind of fell out of fashion. It was something you made when like the boss was coming over. I feel like back in the 50s, all the recipes are in those spiral ring notebooks, you know the ones I'm talking about? But listen, every single time I've made meatloaf for friends when they come over, I'm a little embarrassed to put it on the table, but there is never a pick left over. They love it. Meatloaf is really tasty, super easy to put together, and this is my classic version. So first thing I wanna do is get started on my veg. Now I've got 2 onions here that have cooked down in about a tablespoon of oil. That's been cooking over about medium heat for maybe, I don't know, 5-ish minutes. You just want the onions to soften a little bit, not really pick up color, just let some of their juices out. This brings a little bit of extra sweetness into the mix and just gets them started to go into that meatloaf. Now into there, I'm also gonna add in some garlic. I'm going in with 3 cloves of garlic because we're feeling garlicky. If you maybe get a little indigestion, you could serve this with some Tums, or you could cut this down to 2. This is one of the things, depending on how my husband Aaron's feeling, you know, the Tums might come out, it's okay. All right, give that a little bit of a stir just to come together, and you just wanna cook that garlic off for about 30 seconds to a minute. Basically, anytime I'm cooking onions and garlic together, even if I see a recipe where it says put them in the pan at the same time, I pretty much never do. Onions cook down a lot slower than garlic, and I don't want that garlic to burn. A burnt onion, not bad, honestly kinda nice. I like the flavor sometimes. Burnt garlic, never in my kitchen. Get out of here. Makes everything taste bitter and weird. We don't want that. All right, so that's just cooked down for about 30 seconds. That's gonna pull off that kind of sharpness of that garlic. Now I wanna deglaze that pan a little bit. So for that, I'm gonna use this stuff. Also a key ingredient in most of those spiral ring recipe books, Worcester sauce. Worcestershire sauce, whatever you want to call it, it's delicious. Great in a Caesar, great in a meatloaf, really good in burgers too. So you want about 2 tablespoons of that. This is the longest part of the recipe, is getting 2 tablespoons into that pan. And immediately you smell that umami flavor. It smells really, really good. I'm gonna tell you a secret, and it might turn some people off of this stuff, but this is actually fermented anchovy sauce. So it's kind of sort of like fish sauce, right? Did I ruin it for anyone? Okay, good, we're okay, right on. It gives really nice flavor. It doesn't taste fishy, it just gives this really kind of like dark, delicious umami flavor. All right, that is cooking off, it's almost all absorbed. So I'm just gonna turn the heat off, and we're gonna head over here into the world of panade. Now, if you've watched the show before, you might know what panade is. Panade is essentially bread or breadcrumbs mixed with some liquid, and it's used to kind of bind things together and bring moisture into the mix. For this meatloaf, I've got 3 pieces of stale white bread. Just classic sandwich bread is perfect. I've removed the crusts though, because they can be a little bit tough, and you just wanna tear those into little pieces. Now, for the liquid for this meatloaf, I'm going in with milk, which is classic in a panade. You want about 1/3 cup of liquid. I'm going in with that milk. If you wanted to though, make this not so classic of a meatloaf, fancy it up a little bit, you could add in red wine. That would be really, really nice. Though so I have this weird thing, I don't know what it is. Anytime I put red wine and beef together, it smells like a burger from that fast food chain that has a clown and a hamburger burglar. I don't know why, but that's what it smells like to me. Welcome to the world of my brain, I don't know. So I'm gonna mix this up, and what you wanna do with a panade is just set it aside and let it turn into kind of that bowl of cereal that your kid forgot in their bedroom yesterday. It's gonna look not cute, but that is gonna bring so much moisture in. It starts to look like this. Again, I promised you, not cute. Not great, but this is gonna bring so much binding and moisture into the mix, it's gonna be perfect. Now, for a little bit more binding, I'm gonna add in 2 eggs. Eggs are perfect because they've got a good amount of protein in there, so they like to kind of bring everything together. And then for some flavor, the first thing I'm adding in for a little bit of green, it's about a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. I love a chopped parsley. If you wanted, you could swap this out. You could do some rosemary, which would be really nice with the wine. Maybe even some sage. I like plain parsley though, it's kind of old school. Now into there, I'm also gonna add in about 2 teaspoons-ish of Dijon mustard. I like the Dijon, it gives a nice kind of vinegary hit into the mix. All right, and then we're going in with 2 tablespoons of a classic meatloaf ingredient, ketchup. I know a lot of, love it, it's so good. A lot of people I know like to use like chili sauce. If you wanna do that, you could definitely do that, but I'm going classic today. So about also what a delight that is. 2 tablespoons of ketchup, right on in. Now I'm gonna grab a couple forks and just give this a mix up. This is, again, not gonna look particularly appetizing, but this is gonna mix into that meatloaf just to bind and bring everything together. It's gonna bring moisture. That panade helps hold on to the fat in the meat so it doesn't all kind of seep out. Now I'm gonna add in those onions with that beautiful Worcester sauce in there, with that garlic. That goes right on in as well. Smelling absolutely delicious. There's nothing that smells more savory than onions, garlic, and this stuff. Absolutely delish. Give that a mix. And then for the meat, I'm gonna use a kilo of ground beef. Now, I like lean ground beef whenever I'm making burgers, meatballs, meatloaf, anything like that, because the lean ground beef has a nice amount of fat. Medium, too much fat, it's gonna shrink up, and all that fat's gonna kind of seep out. Extra lean, not enough fat, and you're gonna end up with a drier meatloaf, which we don't want. So lean is the perfect ratio. Add that right on in. And then as opposed to using my hands for this, I actually like to use some forks. And then you kind of just toss it like a gross salad. Does that make sense? It's really fun how much I describe like the process of making food in not a very appetizing way, but honestly, it turns out beautifully. This is what I love about making food. It's something that you take a bunch of components, you put them together, ketchup, mustard, beef, sounds like I'm making a burger, but no, we're making a beautiful meatloaf. So just give that a mix until you kind of can't see like the difference between that panade mixture and the beef. And then for shaping the meatloaf, typically you do it in a loaf pan. I do love the shape of a loaf pan, but to be honest, sometimes I think it looks too much like a pumpkin loaf or something like that. I like a freeform meatloaf. If I were to do it in a loaf pan, the thing that I also don't love is the fact that as you bake it, it almost turns soupy. You know what I mean? Like that fat renders out and it doesn't kind of go golden brown in the same way. So I like to do it on actually a sheet pan. So I've got a sheet pan here. I know, guys, we're going wild. It's classic with a twist. All right, so I'm going on to this sheet pan. I'm just gonna dump all of this mixture right onto there. Now, to form this, I am gonna get my hands a little dirty. If you want, you can easily use gloves or something like that. But essentially what you're looking for is about a loaf that's like 4 inches high and about 6 inches wide. The length is depending on whatever that is. If the meat is kind of sticky to your hands, feel free to just damp them with a little bit of tap water. But just make it into kind of like the shape of like a French loaf of bread, you know what I mean? A little bit more loafy. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go give my hands a real quick wash. And then, does anybody know what I'm gonna put on top of this meatloaf? You yell it out. Ketchup, we're hearing it. It's exactly it. I honestly, that's one of my favorite parts of meatloaf. When I used to eat my mom's meatloaf, that kind of sticky, glazy deliciousness of that ketchup right on top covers up any imperfections. What a delight. And you get to do something like this. Grab your ketchup and just kind of go for it. You want about, oh my gosh, I don't know, 1/4 cup, 1/2 cup, however much ketchup you want. This is why I feel like this recipe feels kind of embarrassing, but it's so good. All right, now I'm gonna pop this into a 325-degree oven, not too hot, on the middle rack. Now, if you've ever made meatloaf before, sometimes it can crack in the middle, and to avoid that, I've got a trick. This is similar to when you make like a cheesecake. So I'm gonna, on the bottom rack, add in a sheet pan, just a plain or little baking pan, and I'm gonna add some boiling water into there. That boiling water is gonna make kind of a moister cooking environment, so it's not gonna crack, or it's less likely to crack. Kind of same kind of vibe as a cheesecake, because as those proteins kind of like bind together and freak out in the heat, they tend to kind of do that too quickly. That softer heat with that beautiful moisture in there will keep it nice and hopefully not make it crack. Then, after about an hour and 15 minutes, you end up with the cutest little meatloaf you ever did see. With that glazy, beautiful ketchup on top. Most of that delicious juice has stayed in there. You then carefully pick this baby up. It's like the world's biggest hamburger. Pop it onto your serving dish. Stick that in the middle of your table, maybe with a little old school parsley garnish, and you have got a total treat. So now, because this is 2 for 1 week, where I take one recipe and make it into 2, I'm gonna turn this beautiful meatloaf into meatloaf sandwiches, just in case you have leftovers. Because if you're listening to someone like my mom, she says the best part of meatloaf is tomorrow's meatloaf sandwich, right? Not too shabby. So the first thing I need is a good slice of that meatloaf. So I'm just gonna take some off. I'm not gonna take the end bit, I'm gonna go into the middle. Ooh, that slices beautifully. Good job, Mary Berg. Okay, we did it. All right, so I'm gonna take a good slice, maybe about 3/4 of an inch thick. And then I'm gonna pop it right onto a flipper. That's gonna be, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful. Soft, juicy, delicious. Come on over here. All right, now what I like to do with my meatloaf sandwiches is I actually like to fry my meatloaf so it gets a little golden brown and crispy. See, we went classic with the meatloaf, but not with the sandwich. All right, so I'm gonna get about a tablespoon of butter, a healthy tablespoon of butter, into the pan and just let that melt down. I want that over about medium-high heat because I want it to crisp up nicely. So now I'm gonna go in with that meatloaf. That sizzle is exactly what you're looking for. All of that delicious kind of protein on the outside of that meatloaf, all that meat, is gonna start browning up. That's called the Maillard reaction. And the Maillard reaction is really great because it gives you that golden brown flavor that we all know and love. So I'm gonna let this start going. And if you ask me when I make a meatloaf sandwich, or any sort of sandwich in general actually, I like to grill my bread. Now, if you've ever been to like a roadside restaurant when you're traveling down through America, you might know what I'm talking about. So as opposed to just toasting your bread or anything like that, what we're gonna do is add a little bit of butter onto one side of each and almost treat it like I'm about to make a grilled cheese sandwich. So add that butter right on. Just get a nice, good coating all the way to the edges. Again, this is gonna add to that caramelization and that delish flavor. This is how you take a classic meatloaf sandwich and bring it into the year 2024. So I'm feeling good about it. All right, that's looking great. Now I'm gonna get this bread and pop it in that pan as well, butter side down. Now I've only buttered one side of the bread. I just want it to go nice and golden. So as that cooks, gets beautiful and caramelized, I'm gonna take a peek at the underside of the meat. I feel like it's not quite there, but let's take a gander. Oh no, we're getting there. We got a little bit of that golden. Do you see that? Oh, it smells good. You just wanna cook that, meatloaf until it is heated through and you get that caramelization. The bread too, just look for caramelization on the one side and you're good to go. Once you have that, you get bread that looks a little something like this. The ultimate toast, if you're asking me. This is what I do if I make this for you for breakfast, it's because I love you. Now, what I'm gonna do is build this into the ultimate delicious, classic, wonderful meatloaf sandwich. But I'm gonna be making this for my friend Justin, and I need to know what he likes on it. So I'm gonna ask him to come on out here right now. Come on out, Justin. Hey, man. How's it going? Oh my gosh, what a delight. I feel like we kind of match. Happy season 2 to you.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We got some flowers going.
Justin, buddy extraordinaire, fantastic, great hat. Where's this hat from?
This is Canso Causeway, so it is the bridge to Cape Breton.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, right. East Coast represent.
Given to me by a good friend.
Nicely done. Okay, so what do you like on your meatloaf sandwich?
Cheese.
Cheese.
Yep.
End of list.
Cheese.
Okay. So are you like a patty melt man?
I am.
Okay, I like this. Okay, so we've got some cheddar cheese here. Now we also have ketchup, mustard, mayo.
I'm looking at that mustard there.
You feeling mustard?
I do.
But do you want it on it? You don't know?
Yeah, no, cheese.
Okay, just cheese.
Just cheese.
Justin he's a simple man today. He just wants that cheese. I love it. Okay, perfect. Whoops. I'm gonna go in. Let me actually see how this guy's doing because he might be nice and caramelized right now.
That smells amazing.
Doesn't it smell good?
Oh my God.
Are you a meatloaf fan in general?
Huge.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna pop that meatloaf right on top. If you wanted to, you could even grill the sandwich and go further and then melt that cheese, which I wouldn't be mad at you for. But what I'm gonna do for you, Justin, is pop that on top.
That looks amazing.
Triangle cut?
Sure.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
Absolutely. Yes.
You have to ask everybody. Some people like a square cut. I'm gonna pop that onto a plate, and then just because you weren't sure about the world of mustard, I'm gonna do a pro move. Mary Berg approved. A little bit of mustard right on the side.
Thank you.
Just in case.
I'm gonna dip that.
Okay, cool. You want to dig in?
I do.
Okay, I'm very excited. Ooh.
I am too.
I only make sandwiches for the best people, so. How's that feeling?
Oh my God.
It's good, right? Yeah.
Incredible.
Right? Juicy? Oh, nice and juicy. Actually, can we get a little close up on that juicy? That juicy little meat right there? Oh, yeah, that looks good with that cheese.
It's going in my mouth.
Okay, cool. Never mind. Justin's got to eat this sandwich. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.